Has Eddie Howe just delivered the ultimatum that could define Newcastle's entire season? With Alexander Isak's awkward return looming and Liverpool circling like vultures, the gaffer's latest comments might have just changed everything. What's up, Toon Army? This is NUFC Quick News, your source for raw black and white passion. We're diving deep into the Isak saga that's got every Newcastle fan on edge. Let's get into it. Right, let's cut through the nonsense and get straight to what's really happening behind the scenes at St. James Park. Eddie Howe has just fired the strongest warning yet to Alexander Isak, and trust me, this isn't your typical diplomatic manager speak. The gaffer has basically told our Swedish striker that if he wants to train with Newcastle United, he needs to earn that right back. Here's the bombshell quote that's got everyone talking. You have to earn the right to train with us. We are Newcastle United. No player can expect to act poorly and train with the group as normal. Those aren't just words, Toon Army. That's a statement of intent from a manager who's clearly had enough of the drama. But here's what the mainstream media isn't telling you about this situation. Do you think Howe's tough stance is exactly what Newcastle needed, or could this backfire spectacularly? Let's talk about what's really been going on behind closed doors. While the squad was sweating it out in Asia, building that crucial preseason chemistry, Isak was spotted training solo at Real Sociedad. And here's the kicker, Newcastle had absolutely no idea this was happening. Imagine finding out through social media that your $70 million striker is getting his fitness work done at his former club without so much as a phone call. The hierarchy at Newcastle must be fuming, and you can bet Dan Ashworth and the recruitment team are working overtime to manage this crisis. But here's where it gets interesting. This is uncharted territory for the Saudi era. We've never had one of our genuine superstars pushing this hard for the exit door. What do you make of Isak's behavior? Is this just a player trying to force a move, or has he completely lost respect for the club that made him a Premier League star? Now, Liverpool have thrown their hat in the ring with a 110 million bid that got laughed out of the room faster than you can say diluted. Some sources even suggest they offered up to $138 million, but it still wasn't enough. Newcastle's asking price? A cool $150 million, and honestly, why shouldn't it be? This is a striker who banged in 27 goals last season, his career best, and is entering his prime years. The Reds clearly think they can get him on the cheap, but they're dealing with a Newcastle that's no longer desperate to sell. We've got Saudi backing, we've got ambition, and most importantly, we've got leverage in this negotiation. Remember to smash that subscribe button if you're enjoying this deep dive. We're the only channel giving you the real story behind the headlines. But here's where the plot thickens even further. Newcastle aren't sitting around waiting for Isak to make up his mind. The club is already eyeing replacements, and the names being thrown about are absolutely mouthwatering. Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig is the dream target, a 21-year-old Slovenian striker who's being touted as one of Europe's hottest prospects. The problem? Everyone wants him. Manchester United are sniffing around, and Newcastle have already made a formal bid worth around $70 million, including add-ons. But reports suggest Cesco has actually chosen Newcastle over Manchester United, with personal terms reportedly agreed. This could be the breakthrough Newcastle desperately needs. Do you think Cesco would be a worthy replacement for Isak, or are we setting ourselves up for disappointment by chasing another club's reject? There's also talk of Yoane Wissa from Brentford, a more experienced option at 28 who's apparently keen to make the jump from West London to Tyneside. The latest reports suggest Newcastle are getting closer to a deal after their initial $25 million bid was rejected, with an improved offer worth around $35 million now on the table. Wissa has even refused to train with Brentford as he pushes for the Champions League move. The real question everyone's asking is whether Howe will actually follow through on his tough talk. When Isak eventually rocks up to training this week, and he will because he's still under contract, will the manager really make him train with the reserves? Will there be awkward conversations in the corridor? Will the other players take sides? What would you do if you were in Howe's shoes? Stick to your principles or try to smooth things over for the sake of team harmony. This situation is testing everything Newcastle has built over the past few years. The culture, the team spirit, the we're all in this together mentality that got us into Europe. It's all on the line. One bad apple can spoil a whole bunch. And right now, Isak is looking pretty rotten. But here's the thing that's got me buzzing despite all the drama. This is exactly the kind of test that separates the pretenders from the contenders. How Newcastle handles this crisis will define whether we're ready for the next level or still learning how to be a big club. The timing couldn't be worse with the new season just around the corner, but maybe that's exactly what we need. A bit of adversity to bring everyone else closer together. Sometimes losing a player who doesn't want to be there is exactly what a squad needs to find its identity. Drop a comment and let me know. Are you Team Isak or Team Howe in this standoff? Because there's no middle ground here. Eddie Howe has shown throughout his Newcastle tenure that he won't compromise on standards, and this situation with Isak is the ultimate test of that philosophy. The Swedish striker might think he holds all the cards, but he's dealing with a manager who's transformed this club from relegation fodders to European contenders. The next few days will be absolutely crucial. Will Isak show up with his tail between his legs, ready to apologize and get back to business? Will Liverpool come back with an improved offer that actually tempts Newcastle? Or will we see this drag on into the season, creating the kind of toxic atmosphere that can derail an entire campaign? One thing's for certain, Newcastle United in 2025 is not the same club that would have bent over backwards to keep an unhappy star player. We've got standards now, we've got options, and most importantly, we've got a manager who won't let anyone think they're bigger than the badge. The real winners in all this might just be the players who stayed loyal, worked hard in pre-season, and are ready to step up when the season kicks off. Sometimes, addition by subtraction is exactly what a team needs. Smash that like button if you're backing Eddie Howe's no-nonsense approach, and hit subscribe to never miss a Toon update. This Isak saga is far from over, and you know we'll be covering every twist and turn. Until next time, stay proud, stay loud, and always keep the faith. Away the lads!